Members of the Party of Freedom and Small Government just signed the most restrictive ban on reproductive rights in years. Now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott on Wednesday had signed into law a bill that bans abortions as early as 6 weeks and before many people know that they're pregnant, according to the Texas Tribune. Now, the legislation is Senate Bill 8, and it also lets just about anybody, randos, people with no connection with the person that gets the abortion, to sue abortion providers who look to perform the procedure after the time limit, which again is pretty much impossible to meet. Now, the bill bans abortion after a fetal heartbeat is detected, which can be as early as 6 weeks, but does not provide an exception for rape or incest. When asked about the lack of exceptions for rape and incest, Texas Senator State Brian Hughes, the bill's sponsor, told CNN, quote, "Let's do everything we can to hold people accountable who do something like that, to protect women from that. Let's harshly punish the rapist, but we don't punish the unborn child." Interesting. Here's the thing. You are punishing that child by forcing to have the mother to have a child that she doesn't want. That forces her to have ties to her rapist through that child. Or, by the way, if she chooses to, get the child up for adoption, because, the other argument is, well, that's okay. You should just give it up to adoption, or they can go through the foster system. Well, those situations, the foster system is deeply underfunded and can lead to some pretty horrible outcomes as well. It could also lead to good outcomes too, but you don't really know. But the whole point is you're not really helping anybody if you're forcing someone to bring a child into a situation where they might not be wanted. So, there's that. And look, I'm pro-choice. I think it's pretty obvious. I'd rather women not be in a situation to be forced to give birth. I would also like for women to be in a situation where if they do get pregnant, that they would have the ability to choose to choose life. And that means, of course, setting up a situation, a social, like a government or government systems where you have childcare, where you have healthcare, where you have support systems in place for people who decide that they want to be parents. And so that's what I want to see. I want to see a country that is more friendly towards families, because the United States ain't. It's really not. And so and not only that, but of course, it's not my choice. I don't have a uterus. It's not my call. It's not my business what other people do with their own uterus. And so, again, the United States, not friendly towards families. Just the act of giving birth costs thousands of dollars. And if you don't have health insurance, you're screwed. Healthcare is incredibly expensive. Education, childcare. In total, it costs over $230,000 to raise a kid from birth to 18. Not to mention, we have a little bit of an epidemic of school shootings that happen all the time as well. You have other factors, external factors, very valid reasons for people to choose not to be a parent. And that's when you even have the choice. Again, this bill, and this is why it's so insidious, it doesn't even give you an option if you've been raped. And it's also insidious because of the way the laws are structured. As Diana Lehman Mercado, executive director of Planned Parenthood Texas Votes, explains, quote, "For a person with a normal menstrual cycle, that's only 2 weeks after a missed period, when you factor in the time it takes to confirm a pregnancy, consider your options, make a decision, schedule an appointment, and comply with all the restrictions politicians have already put in place for patients and providers. A 6-week ban is essentially bans abortion outright." So they have basically tried to regulate it out of existence. And that's it. Then you add in the provision where any rando can sue anybody else. It's pure chaos. As the Washington Post notes, the provision was met by a pushback from the legal community. More than 300 Texas attorneys wrote a letter to lawmakers last month that raised constitutional concern about the bill's language. The coalition claimed provision weaponizes the judicial system in Texas, warning that people could be subjected to abuse and harassment through the legal system. Every citizen now is a private attorney general. Josh Blackman, constitutional law professor at South Texas College Law of Houston, told the Texas Tribune, you're going to have random people who are against abortion start suing tomorrow. And this, of course, this bill takes effect in September. That is deeply, deeply messed up. Furthermore, the move comes days after the Supreme Court announced it would hear a challenge on a Mississippi law that looks to ban abortions after 15 weeks. So all of this is happening, coinciding with basically a gigantic assault on women's bodily autonomy and reproductive rights. And then what happens? What happens if Roe v. Wade is challenged successfully, overturns, and allows for the country to ban abortions again? Well, we're back to coat hangers and back alley abortions. Remember, this is not about being pro-life. This is about being pro-birth. This affects mainly working poor, many of whom happen to be Black and Latino. Rich white women, they've always been able to get abortions whenever they want. They're the ones that can have abortion on demand, literally. They have the means to go and fly somewhere where it's legal. Poor women, however, this is a way to keep poor women in poverty. Not allowing women bodily autonomy keeps them in abject poverty, keeps them from rising the social ladder, keeps them from having good careers, and of course keeps their family line poor. It is a way to keep people poor. It is a way to stop any advancement for people who are already underserved and apparently lower class. So this is horrible news, but it's everything that you would expect out of the Republican Party, the so-called pro-life party. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.